Hey everybody, it's your host, Will again for another episode of But Is It JoJo Stupid? I know I keep saying it like that. It's mostly because that's how I feel whenever I have to think about things. I'm like, is it dumb? Yeah, kinda. But is it JoJo Stupid? Okay, anywho, today's topic is one of my favorite games. It's a Rockstar game. Bully. Yeah, how many are you familiar with Bully? Hmm? Hmm? Anybody? No? Yeah, I guess maybe nobody. It wasn't a super big game, despite the fact that it came right back out with a Scholarship Edition on the Xbox 360. I had it on the PS2. That's where I played it. I really liked it. Super fun. It's like a tiny GTA. So, setup is pretty simple. I'll just, go over it. Your name is Jimmy Hopkins. Your mom remarried, and she's gonna go on a honeymoon with her new husband. You don't like them. They dump you at a private school in a college town, so to speak, and it's called Bulworth Academy. Yay! So you have to go into the office, and you have to, talk to the principal. He describes how, like, I'm gonna make you a man. It's like, okay, cool, whatever. Go to the boys' dorm with some of the bullies, and try to fight with you, and you beat them up. But then their leader, this giant man mountain named Russell Northrup. I'll also say this about Bully. One of the things I really think is interesting is that everyone has a whole name, and that when you think, oh, the character model is repeated, no, it's the same people because they're actually just a small town with like a fuck ton of different people, and you tend to see them around a bunch, which is kind of cool. I like that. So like you can really follow a narrative of all these people interacting and intermingling with each other. Which, if you know anything about me by now, it's God. I love having a dense character web, like a lot. Okay, so yeah. So you get beaten up by this man mountain who doesn't speak like a person. He sort of goes, Russell is angry, and then beats the shit out of you. Knocks you clean on your ass. The math teacher, Mr. Hatrick, shows up and says, hey, cut that shit out. And then puts you inside. And you end up meeting Gary Smith and Pete Kowalski. Gary's kind of a weird, angsty sociopath kind of guy. And Pete's just a soft, sensitive kid. And then, yeah. So this section is called Chapter 1, Making New Friends and Enemies. Because, yeah, that's what's happening. So you end up doing a bunch of different shit. The game is mission oriented because it is essentially just GTA, where you do things and they unlock more and more missions to progress throughout the narrative of the game. A couple of things: you don't know anyone in the school, and you only have Gary and Pete, and Gary tells you off the bat from the beginning that he wants to take over and rule the school, whatever the fuck that means. To which you respond with, that's stupid, but alright, sure, whatever. And you end up doing multiple favors for people, mostly through Gary's prodding, because he goes, hey, this will be a good way to start moving on taking over the school. To which you repeatedly say, what the fuck are you talking about, take over the school? Are you stupid? Whatever. Or Algie comes up and goes like, hey, Algie is Algernon. He's one of the nerds. And he comes up to you and says, hey, do you mind helping me out? The bullies are picking on my friend. And you go, I mean, I don't really care. Which Gary says, no, let's show Russell that we mean business. So here's the thing about the school. I find this kind of fun because I always like this kind of stuff in games. You know, like little groups and cliques and, characters to really follow around. I'm going to say that a lot because, God, do I really enjoy that. Anywho, everyone is divided into one of 5 primary groups. You're either a jock, a nerd, a greaser, a preppy, or just one of the uncategorized, uninvolved students. I think they refer to them as non-click students in the game. So it's pretty simple. On one of the early missions, Gary takes you to the lunchroom, and you just see all of them in the lunchroom, and he goes like, "Yeah, feeding time at the zoo, bitch. Time to see what's up with all the animals." He's like, "Nerds." And he was like, "They seem pretty harmless." And Gary says something like, "Oh, they're actually sneaky bastards. Don't let them sneak up on you." It's like, okay, cool. The preppy is just exactly what it sounds like. Rich kids who are so sheltered and kept to themselves that they think poor people are disgusting and below them, and they don't know much about the regular world. Like, I don't think they understand a bill less than a 50. It's quite amazing. And there's also a lot of jokes about them being inbred, as is the nature of many people talking about higher, what would you call it, higher social status groups. Rich people are inbred like royalty, because royalty only wants to keep their blood pure and shit like that. The Greases are exactly what it sounds like. For anyone who has ever seen Rebel Without a Cause, The Wild One, or West Side Story. West Side Story. It's like West Side Story. So just think of those guys with like leather jackets and Dizentos or like coiffs and jelly rolls and shit like that, and they're just hanging around talking about bikes and other dumb bullshit. Cause they can't ride motorcycles, so they ride bikes. It's quite interesting. If they had cars, it'd be all about cars. It's kind of fun in that way. Uh, One thing I think of that's funny about Bully is that I can't tell what time period it's set up in, because some people are very modern and there's like arcade machines that say 1995 and all types of shit. But then you have the greasers, and it's like, wait, what year is this? You're in an industrial park and you're like, oh, those are heavily computerized machines. What the fuck year is this? I don't. Do people still do the greaser look? I'm surprised if so, and if not, then wait, what? What's happening? And finally, the last click is, of course, the jocks, the biggest, beefiest guys who have the most fighting skill. Well, they don't even have the most fighting skill, they just have the most health and the most damage dealing. So, it's a pretty simple game. You just walk around, do the missions, fight people, maybe insult them. There's a mechanic that's like a little social interaction wheel. You lock on to somebody and you get a couple options. It's usually a positive and a negative option, and depending on the person, you give them a gift or, do other shit. But it's pretty straightforward. When you're fighting people, you have the ability to threaten them, and if they have low enough health, and you pick the aggressive option on the social interaction wheel, it's when the fist is red. There's like a little fist icon. When the fist is red, you bully them, which is just this little animation of you treating them horribly in a kind of comical way that's like, do people still do things like that? Or like, I guess that works. Or, geez, that's disgusting. One of my personal favorites is when you just grab a guy and just bitch slap him a few times. That's it. You just smack him. You smack him like 3 or 4 times, and then he runs away whimpering and then trips on himself. Because, yeah, look, he was made a fool in front of everybody. There's other ones where like you give somebody an Indian burn. It's like when you grab 2 parts of their arm and then just like rub it backwards and forwards between your hands, and it really really hurts. I'll tell you that for sure. But I'm amazed that that's a thing that you can just do. It's never the same thing. I think there's like maybe 6 or 7 animations, and they just cycle through them periodically. Yeah, there's another one where you like put your foot behind the guy and just push him and shove him and trip him, and that's about it. And then like just having that happen in a crowd of people is humiliating. That's awful, and that's why they run away like cowards after that. It's sort of a finishing move, so to speak. It doesn't really do anything extra besides the animation that I guess you can enjoy picking on these people that you already beat up. But yeah, that's about it. So another thing is you can go through classes, which are just mini games to improve certain skills. So there's 6 classes in the original Bully. There's art, English, chemistry, shop, photography, and gym, and that's about it. And each one of them gives you different abilities. So English gives you the ability to apologize better for when you get into scuffles. It's you have like a sort of, you I think if you're familiar with Grand Theft Auto, you have the stars to tell you how much the police want you for committing mayhem and shit. So there's rules in the game. Well, you're going to a school, so of course there's rules. And when you break those rules, the hall monitors, or prefects, if you will, that's what the game refers to them as. That's an English term. The prefects will just bust you and fuck you up, and then send you to detention or whatever. And sometimes that might lead you get caught enough, and then you have to go do something like mow the lawn or mow the football field. It's not great. It's not super awful. Like, it's just a dumb little mini game you have to do until time runs out. But yeah, it's not fun either. It's just a consequence. Anywho, there are rules, and you have a little trouble meter that the higher the trouble meter goes, the worse it gets. Now, as you improve at English, your apologies get better and better and better to the point where no matter how bad it is, you can apologize your way out of it. Then there's chemistry, which gives you little weapons. So you have a chemistry set in your room for whatever reason, and as you get better and better at chemistry, you unlock stuff that you can use as projectiles. Because, I mean, who doesn't want to make the fights a little bit easier, right? GM gives you fighting upgrades and accuracy upgrades with the projectile weapons. Then there's art which gives you. So this is a thing. This was a thing that people commented about when Bully came out. Is you can make out with girls by talking to them and giving them gifts, which is all right, pretty normal. You give them gifts, and then maybe they might make out with you. The better you get at art, the less you have to give them gifts. And the thing to making out with girls is you get health bonuses. So you have a little meter of health, obviously, because, I mean, otherwise, how do you lose when you get beaten up, But the first upgrade to health, to art is you get to kiss a girl and you get 50% of your health back, and you get a 50% overshoot of your full health. So up until then, you could kiss a girl, I guess, and then you would just get your maximum health back, which is cool. You don't have to really pay for stuff. The first kind of gift most girls take is flowers, and if you want to be cheap about it, which is what I figured out, you can run to the front of the girl's dorm and just rip the flowers out the ground and use that as a gift instead of having to go buy flowers with what little money you have. And because fuck that, I mean, why would you do that? That's stupid. If you can just cheat through it, why not do that? But yeah, so the thing is, as it goes on, eventually, though, I think the final upgrade is you don't have to give them gifts anymore. They'll just make out with you. And another thing is, with the first level of art, you get like a cute little like quiet and just kiss, and that's whatever, right? And then the more and more you advance in the art class, the more overt the actions to kissing get. Like it goes from like a gentle peck to like holding each other for a sec, and eventually just like she throws her leg up on you and just starts making loud moaning noises, and it's like, okay, cool, well, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I don't fully understand how being good at drawing gives you this, but you just do. I guess you're more skilled at interacting with people. You would think that's English or something, a better skill at talking, but I don't know. I guess something about the artistic soul ignites the passions of these teenage girls or whatever. Don't know, don't give much of a shit. But, so, one of the things that people commented on about Bully when it came out was beyond just furiously making out with girls all the goddamn time to get your health up above to like a 200% cap, you can also find a few of the guys who are willing to do that. And I think what's interesting about this is that they don't give you health bonuses. You could do it, and they'll always require gifts, and they're always a little uncomfortable or awkward about it. I think there's one guy per each click that is like just a little off. As a matter of fact, I think there's two jocks in particular. Kirby, yeah, they have names. Like I said before, and there's a bully, Davis, and there's who else? There's Gord. Gord is one of the preppies, and Vance is the greaser. They don't give you health bonuses for kissing the guys, and I guess, alright, sure, whatever. That's not super important or anything, but it's worth noticing that, like, you can do it. You just have to find the right guy and offer him a gift of usually flowers, and then, kiss him. Although, if someone shows up, they just fucking bail on you, which is fair. They're young and confused, and it's not great to see people explore your sexuality at random. It's not fucking amazing. Okie dokie. So yeah, that covers more or less the mechanics of the game. It's interestingly enough, in Scholarship Edition, I said that there are 6 classes in Original, and that's true. That's because in Scholarship Edition they add more classes that don't do anything besides give you aesthetics. I would have hoped that they'd also added more mechanical things, but I guess now it was just for the sake of adding a couple things. In Scholarship Edition, which was the port to the 360, and is also currently on Steam, you do geography, math, and biology and music, and they're just kind of, they're also games, but they're not, there's nothing to them besides that they give you like cute little aesthetic bonuses. So it's fun to do them, but I can't say that they're really worth anything. Anywho, that covers about all the class stuff. And that's more or less what the whole game is. You ride bikes, you go to skateboard, you go do shit for the people. And now I want to talk about the narrative of the game, which is why I kind of enjoy this, insofar that it's a tiny GTA. You have all these cliques, and you're friends with Gary and Pete. And then as the beginning starts, Gary's trying to convince you to take over the school. And that's cool. That's whatever. One of my favorite things is that seasons change throughout the chapters of the game. So it's supposed to say that a whole year goes by the time your mother decides to fucking show up. And as a matter of fact, I don't think she shows up at all, if I remember correctly. The last chapter is an endless mode called Endless Summer, which is just for you to pick up and keep doing stuff that you want to do, like any side missions or whatever that you felt like doing now that the game's actually over. So then, yeah, you do a bunch of missions, and I think a couple of ones worth noting for the first section is the Halloween one, where Gary just wants you to go and fuck with a bunch of people, and ask around, and you're like, hey, you need me to do something? Let's fucking do it, before you wrap it up with a huge prank, which is just lighting dog shit on fire and putting it outside of the teacher's lounge and then making him step in the shit. Because, that's funny. That's a classic one. And my thing that I really like about Halloween is that Gary's dressed like a Nazi. And when the first time I saw it, I was like, that uniform looks pretty cool, but that also seems like something vaguely familiar. And now that I'm older, I look at it, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that is just a fucking SS uniform. Wow, talk about telegraphing. It's all about just telling you right from the get-go. He's kind of a bad guy. Maybe because he's dressed as a Nazi? It's really fucking nuts. And with his funny little haircut where the sides are shaved down, then, like, it goes perfectly with the SS hat. It's nuts. So one of the other missions worth noting is there's a bunch of missions throughout the game where you make friends with people and then sometimes they hate you. So you have a respect level with the cliques that goes up and down depending on what happens throughout the missions. One of the things that I remember was the mission called That Bitch at the beginning of the game, where the girl of the nerd clique, Beatrice Trudeau, is being picked on by the head cheerleader Mandy. You have to walk into the girls' dorm, which is super trespassing, not only within the context of the game, but that's just you're not supposed to go in there. But alright, sure, whatever. And then you hear them having an argument, and then Beatrice tells you, "Hey, come on, help me out." And you go, "Well, no, I don't have a reason to be involved." She goes like, "I'll kiss you." And you're like, "Nah, I'm good." She goes, "Alright, well then I tell everyone you're a creepy pervert who steals underwear at the girls' dorm." It's like, "Wow, okay, fuck you then. Yeah, sure, whatever. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'll go get your notebook back." You go and you get her notebook back, and also because Gary tells you to, and he goes, "Why not? It's kind of funny." You put a stink bomb in the girl's locker, so when she opens the locker after stealing the notebook, after you steal the notebook, you put a stink bomb in there. So when she opens the locker, she just has a face full of this noxious green gas. The projectiles are kind of just itching powder, which makes someone vulnerable to getting hit. Fried crackers, which is a little explosion that does a lot of damage. Stink bombs, which opens up a little AoE area of effect thing where people are stuck inside of it and moving slowly, and they're holding their nose, so they're much more vulnerable to projectiles. And marbles, which trip people up. So there's that. There's other stuff you can get later on, but it unlocked as the game goes ahead. So yeah, and then she ends up making. Then once you get Beatrice her notebook back, she makes out with you. Cause sure, whatever. There's another mission still within the first chapter, where she says, "Hey, so the math teacher, Mr. Hattrick, he took my diary while I was in class." And it's like, "Okay, what's that got to do with me?" "Well, then everyone's gonna find out about us." It's like, what are you talking about, us? There is no us." She's like, "Okay, no, here's what happened. You got my notebook back, and then I just started writing stuff in the book about how at first you seemed like a really mean guy, but then I got to see your sensitive side." And it's like, "What? Don't wait, you're just making shit up now." And she goes like, "Yeah, well, I mean, if he said he was gonna read it to everybody, so that means everyone's gonna have to think about that now." And he's like, "That's bullshit. Fuck you. Okay, fine, I'll figure this out. Just shut up." You break into the school at night and get her stupid diary back, and you get to read a bit of it, and it says stuff like, "Oh, he's so bad hair, bad teeth, bad attitude, but I like him." And then she has a friend named Bucky, who you have to save from a whole other situation still in the first chapter. See, that's what I mean by like the characters. They have names and they come back repeatedly. But anywho, yeah, she says like she has a friend named Bucky, and he goes like, she keeps talking on and on about you to Bucky, and Bucky seems depressed, and she goes, "I wonder why he's so sad. Oh, that sucks." Like, really? Are you that unaware of your surroundings, you dumb bitch? It's stupid. You can't actually be that dumb. I thought you're supposed to be one of the smart people. Aren't you hanging out with the nerds or whatever? The guys who are just obsessed with knowledge? Well, fucking whatever. Anywho, yeah, that's the only thing worth mentioning, I feel, in the first one. Oh yeah, and about the diary thing. I think she has like herpes or something. Something that opens up violent pussy cold sores. Because when you go to her about the and you come back to her with the thing, she goes, "Also, you should know my cold sores aren't contagious." And she's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And then she kisses you. It's like, okay, cool. I guess that happened. So throughout the first chapter, you just do stuff like that, going around helping people, sometimes winning the favor of some of the cliques and getting the ire of other cliques. You do stuff like help out the nerd leader Ernest Jones with his neat little campaign to be school president. Mostly because the bullies, the jocks, I say the bullies, it's the jocks, although I suppose they're all bullies to some degree or another. The jocks go out of their way to fuck up his show by throwing eggs at him and stuff. And the nerds help you out by getting you this neat telescopic slingshot to go and fuck the jocks up to stop them from ruining Ernest's his presentation. He says some really crazy shit about like banning physical education and stuff. I don't think he understands that the school president thing is more of a figurehead position than an actual position of power. Yeah, he represents the opinions of the students, but that doesn't necessarily mean he can change the entirety of the school structure. I don't know what he thought he was doing, but sure. And after settling a bunch of stuff, Gary says explicitly he goes off his medication. Earlier, he mentions being on medication. It's like, yeah, that's fair. You're probably a little mentally imbalanced. So you go with him off to the school, into the basement of the school, where he pulls you into this weird giant sewage pit. It looks like a death pit. It's actually quite interesting. And then he goes, yeah, welcome to the hole where we separate the men from the boys, the wheat from the chaff. And it's like, sure, whatever. And then Russell shows up, and it's like, whoa, what the fuck? What are you doing? And it's like, well, I know you were gonna betray me, cause why wouldn't you betray me? Meaning, I brought Russell so I could betray you first. He's like, I thought we were friends. He's like, friends? I took shits that are smarter than you. You're dumb as shit. Russell, look, he said all that shit about your mom and those barnyard animals. Fuck him up. And you fight Russell. This giant man mounted. It's a pretty simple boss fight. All you have to do is avoid getting hit, and Russell will, usually run into the walls. If you have projectile weapons like the firecrackers and you have the slingshot, that's just built into your system from there forward, you can just, keep pretty distant and hit him with a bunch of shit, and then when he's weak and vulnerable, you walk up to him and punch him a few times. That's about it. It's pretty quick. You have to run from some of his attacks because he'll flat out chase you, but, it's not too hard. You can't, if he grabs you, sometimes he'll do things like a Boston Crab, and then you could just mash a button to reverse it. It's not super hard. Get it in on yourself. So you beat him, and then you go up to Russell, and you go like, Russell, I didn't say shit about your mom. And he goes like, okay. And he goes like, also, quit picking on kids. Why? And it's like, because there's a bunch of people who need to get picked on. You're picking on the ones who don't. He's like, okay. That's about it. So now all of the bullies are on your side. The bullies are characterized by just wearing a white button-up shirt and jeans. They don't really. So the cliques have looks to them. The jocks wear like varsity jackets. The greaser wear leather jackets, and the preps wear these blue clothing called they call Aquaberry, which is based on a real clothing line. Aquascutum, which is an English clothing line. It's supposed to be fancy looking. It's mostly Burberry and shit like that. I don't really know how it's supposed to be fancy, but whatever. So yeah, that closes out chapter 1, with you now being the friends with the leader of the bullies. And opens up chapter 2 with Rich Kid Blues, and if you can't guess what that's about, well then, come on, you're kinda dumb. Kidding. It's really just you fighting the preppies for their dominance. You try to make friends with them at first, and then when you complete one of the missions called the Eggs, which is where, one of the kids, Tad, wants you to go get eggs, so you can go egg the math teacher's house. Gary shows up and says that you said a bunch of mean shit about Tad, about how he's like all inbred and shit. And it's like, your aunt is probably your mom. And it's like, fuck you. Fuck you. And you get into a fight. And then you just sort of, you interact with them here and there, mostly doing shit to them. Well, so every clique has a girl in the way that Beatrice Trudeau is the girl for the nerds. Also, one more thing about Beatrice. She has like an old world, like beehive kind of hairdo. And it's like, it's another sign that I can't tell what period this game is in. Because it seems like it should be the 60s or the 50s. But then like so much of the other shit does not instigate that time at all. Does not even remotely make me consider that that's the time period. So fuck if I know. You meet the girl for the preppies, Pinky Gauthier, and it's you see her like waiting in line for movie tickets, and I think the mission is actually just called movie tickets. Well, you go up to her, and like, hey, how's it going? And you're real cute, and she goes like, yeah, hi, whatever. Hey, you know what? You're okay. And it's like, sure. How about you do me a favor? Then maybe we'll spend some time together. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. Are you gonna give me something? And he's like, what do you mean? Like, are you, you gotta do something for me. She's like, I'm a princess. You do shit for me. It's kind of amazing. Yeah, so, you basically get everyone out of the way. There's a heavy-set girl, Eunice. You met her earlier in the game where you got her chocolates and she made out with you because she wanted to, and that's about it. In this case, you have to do the same thing, but now to get her the fuck out of line for the movie tickets so that you can, go get this shit together. So you go, you get her chocolates, you take her to a secluded area, make out with her, then she just fucks off for whatever reason. Oh yeah, I should mention earlier. There's a scene where you're helping out Algernon, one of the nerds. Everybody calls him Algie. He has his pants unzipped the entire time throughout the game, and you can see his tiny whities. I can't tell if that's supposed to be that he's too fat to close them properly, or if it's just that he doesn't know and is that awkward with people. Entirely unsure, but it's nuts. So you go and you help out, you get into the bathroom, and you see Eunice leaving a bathroom stall with a short kid. His name is Pedro. He's like maybe 12. I can't tell if she was gonna like do something with him or not. She says the phrase just be quiet and I'll show you, and it's like I don't want to know what that means cuz you're like 15, 16, and that kid is like 11, 12. That is just weird. Okay, fine. Fuck it. Whatever. But yeah, so then you have to take a bike from one of the preps, Gord, and then just steal it, and that way he'll bail because the girl gets upset that shit happened. The girl that he's with gets upset that shit happened. Her name is Lola Lombardi. We'll get back to her later because she's important. She becomes more relevant later. So, anywho, after that, there's these two guys going on a date, and all you have to do is walk up to them, and they run away because, oh god, they don't want anyone to see this. No, 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 this is gonna get weird. And yeah, so then Pinky gets first in line. She hands you like $30, and then goes like, "All right, cool. Thanks for the help. Well, I'll see you some other time. We'll work through some class issues we have." And Jimmy says something like, "I'll work through your class issues, baby," which just becomes a question of what the fuck was that about? What did you just say? That just sounds stupid. What's wrong with you? Uh, you can immediately go on a date with her after that if you have flowers on you, which is a mission called Carnival Date, where she's standing around and goes like, "Where have you been? You're 3 minutes late." And it's like, what? What are you talking about? We didn't have a date. She's like, "Yeah, we did." And I'm like, "No, we didn't." She's like, "You're right. That isn't you. It was Darby." Like, Darby? I was like, "Yeah, he's my cousin. I don't really like him, but they want us to date and get married and stuff." It's like, "Oh, that's weird." She's like, "Well, I mean, it used to be brother and sister till that was made illegal. So we're cousins, so. I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever." It's like, "Yeah, it's fucked up. My aunt has like four thumbs." It's like, "Okay, cool." It's like, by the way, I remembered you like flowers," and you hand her flowers. She's like, "These are so pretty." Darby's a dick. I can't believe he's 3 minutes late. What does he think I am, a slut or whatever? Like, oh, okay, yeah, you're really upset about this for 3 minutes. And you just take her to the carnival and play these little mini games to get tickets to buy her a teddy bear. That's about it. She likes you going forward from there, so that's cool. I happen to really find her hairstyle and voice entertaining, and I think it's just because she reminds me a lot of Parker Posey, and I happen to have a huge thing for Parker Posey. That's probably just it. I don't know. Eventually, you just end up going to the boxing gym where all the preps hang out, the Glassjaw boxing gym, which, god, if that's not a horrible name for boxers, Glassjaw. Yeah, you end up beating their best boxer, and to which you tell all of them, "Yeah, I'm the fucking hero. Suck my dick." And their leader, Darby, goes like, "You're a fucking disgrace." And he's talking to the best boxer that lost, Biff, and he goes like, "You're a fucking Democrat." That's the thing he says, like, "You filthy Democrat," and then like turns away. I think that's pretty funny that he says shit like that. Like, what the hell? But yeah, and then he convinces all the preppies to get together and try to fuck you up. And you just get to the top, to the little lounge where they all hang out, and you beat up Darby, and then make him just tell him that he's your bitch now. And he's like, "How do you feel now, my waspy little friend?" You're like grabbing him by the neck. He's like, "Who's in charge?" "You are." "Say it louder." He like screams, "You are." I was like, "Right. Play nice, ladies." And just fucking walks off like that. I'll admit the guy you play is a bit of a unnecessarily aggressive nutball, but I guess that makes sense given the circumstances of the situation. You know what I mean? Then it starts chapter 3, which is Love Makes the World Go Around, which is just another excuse to start fighting with another clique. This time it's the Greasers. It opens up with one of the Greasers going over to you and go like, "Hey, Johnny Vincent needs your help." He's like, "Well, do I look like a fucking charity service?" He's like, "Well, come on, man. He really needs your help." And nobody tell Johnny Vincent what to do. He goes, "He doesn't tell me what to do." And then he just walks off, goes like, "You'll pay for this." Yeah, that's fucking great. That's what you want. He just keeps asking for shit because he thinks his girlfriend, the Lola Lombardi, yeah, we're going back to her. She looks a lot like Molly Ringwald, like her hair, and she wears like a tiny leather jacket that's like, and a midriff bearing like pink shirt, and she has a little red ascot. It's nuts. It's also like think of the girl from Grease. You know what I'm talking about, but with Molly Ringwald's hair and face. I don't know what's up with that. Anywho, she is consistently and thoroughly cheating on her boyfriend, making out with a bunch of other dudes and hanging out with guys and shit. And it doesn't really matter to you because you don't care. But it's getting Johnny all fucked up. And every time he thinks of his girlfriend with another guy, he just loses his shit. So You have to go help him out by getting evidence that his girlfriend is cheating on him. As it turns out, she's cheating on him with a preppy named Gord. So yeah, you take a picture of them hanging out and like him giving her gifts and kissing her and shit. And you just come back, give it to Johnny, and Johnny goes, "All right, bring him the fuck over here. We'll fuck him up." It's like, okay, cool, whatever. Yeah, that's about it. He gives you shit for thinking that you also want Lola. Like that's stupid. I don't fucking. Why are you doing this? This is you. I get that you're upset, but like, chill the fuck out. And Lola ends up liking you partially because you're big and tough, but also because there's a mission to where the nerds come up to you. A nerd comes up to you. I want to say it's Melvin. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember off the top of my head. But a nerd comes up to you and goes, "Hey, Johnny's losing it. He thinks Algie's trying to pick up his girlfriend, so he sent a bunch of his guys to go fuck him up when Algie's just been helping her study." You go to the place where Algie was hanging out with Lola, and it kind of admits that he wanted to fuck her, and it's like, all right, cool, whatever, peace, Dane, don't give a shit. And then you just ride on a bike to get the fuck out. One of the preppies helps you out. It's Gord and Chad. Chad is the black preppy with his hand all tied up. I think it's boxing tape. I'm actually pretty sure it's boxing tape. But anyway, um, you end up getting a ride on the back of a bicycle, and then using your slingshot, you just shoot the greasers out of the way so that they don't fucking murder you. That's about it. You just ride back to the school. So she kind of likes you for that. And then you get a thing called the big race, which is where you have to race with Johnny to prove that you're faster than him, because Lola will pick whichever guy is faster. It's funny, they talk in these like really goofy Italian American stereotype of like New York in the 70s kind of way. Which is another point as to when the fuck does this game take place? I don't actually know or understand. I was like, ain't nobody faster than me. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever. You obviously win the race because that's the point of the fucking game. And then Lola likes you instead of Johnny for whatever reason. And you have to. Okay, so this is a mission that I remember intensely, mostly because it's one of the last places where you find a weapons upgrade. So the thing is, there's a mission in the first chapter that's like, go annoy this old homeless man who lives on the school property. Cause yeah, that's fun. But when you go, he says, "I used to be in the army. It used to be some shit. Get the fuck out my face, kid. I'll kill you." And you go like, "Then kill me, old man. I don't give a shit." He was like, "I like you, kid. Go get me a radio transistor. Come back and I'll teach you some fighting moves." And he does teach you some of the more useful things. There's a 5-punch combo that you only use in the boxing minigame unless you can find enough transistors for him. So the first time you find the transistor, it's easy. It's on the school grounds. But going forward from there, you have to find the rest of the transistors. I have already memorized where they all are, but yeah, so that's why I remember New Coventry, which is the area where the Greasers hang out so well. And this mission, it's called the Tenements. They all hang out in these busted up, bang up tenements, because, I don't know, they're wayward youth. And Lola says, "I left a bunch of my shit there, could you go get it for me?" Which is like, that's awful, this place is swarming with Greasers and they hate me right now because you're dating me instead of their boss, but fucking whatever. Whatever. So you go over to them, you go to the tenements, and you get inside, and you end up fighting a bunch of guys. And my personal favorite is that you fight this big dude named Norton Williams, and he's the black greaser. He's the biggest and the scariest of them, and I say this because he just tries to beat you to death with a sledgehammer. It's another mini boss fight, sort of the way you fought with Russell and Darby, but you just have to run around hitting him with shit from the distance, because if you try to fucking fight him head on, he will just beat the shit out of you with that hammer. It's god awful. You can find a lot of boxes around, smash them for projectiles and stuff, but that's about it. So once you beat him, you take his big ass sledgehammer, just start smashing through the place to pick up Lola's dumb bullshit and get the fuck out. So after that, this is the end of the third chapter. It's the big fight, or I think it's called the Rumble or some shit. Like, it's something cheesy. I like that about this game. It's goofy in the best way. I happen to really like that I can't tell what year it is, but it has all these little hallmarks of things that are antiquated but fun to look at. Like, Russell sounds like Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds, like, "Bleh, Russell hurt little man," and shit like that. And then the Preps are also like villains from 80s movies. But then the Greasers exist like caricatures of the Wild One and the gangs from West Side Story from the 50s, and I don't know what the fuck they're about, you know? It's funny. So yeah, basically the Preps and the Greasers have always hated each other, which is fair. The Greasers are emblematic of a struggling working class, and they have a strong antagonism towards rich people, and the rich kids are exactly that. The Preps are the fucking worst of the worst of the rich people, and they hate poor people, so of course they don't get along. And finally, losing their shit over the fact that you're friends with the Preps and that you're dating their boss's girlfriend, Johnny just flips out and just decides everybody's gonna fucking fight now. So when you step outside, you see Lola goes like, "Hey, you have to stop them. They're all fighting everywhere. Come on, do something about it. You're the boss." And it's like, "Yeah, all right, fine, fuck it. I'll do something about it." Fight a bunch of guys to try to find Johnny. Because if you can stop Johnny, then I mean, all the other guys will fold under. That's what happens when you have a leader. The leader's the morale of the entire group. He ends up like hightailing it on a bike, and the cops show up. So you hightail it on a bike and chase him to a junkyard. In which case, he's riding around on a bicycle, just slacking the shit out of you every chance he gets. So the only way to make it fair is to like knock out the guy standing on cars to get your friend Pete to a giant magnet, which will pull Johnny's bike from under him, and you can have a fair fight. Boy, I wish I did something that cool. I would cower out until everyone else bailed, and then I would have to get a single one-on-one fight with the guy with the motorcycle. But that's a whole other story. A story I'm not going to share on the show anytime soon. Although, if you're one of my friends who listens to the show, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. You beat up Johnny, and there's like really cool rockabilly music playing throughout this kind of stuff. And I happen to really love rockabilly. Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps, and Hazel Williams, and a bunch of those guys. I really love Reverend Horton Heat, Cool's Rockabilly Club, and so many other of those groups. But yeah, and when you beat up Johnny, there's always like a little cutscene before the fight, a little cutscene after the fight. And when you beat up Johnny, one of my favorite things, he's like, "You can have her." It's like, "What? You can have Lola." It's like, "I don't want that slut. You can keep her to yourself." It's like, "Why'd you fight me? Did you just fight me to prove you're tougher than me?" And you're like, "Yeah, bitch." It's like, "Okay, fine, whatever." That's it. That's the end of chapter 3. Chapter 4 opens up with the jocks making fun of you. It's Ted Thompson and Damon West, the two heads. Ted being the quarterback of the football team, and Damon being his defensive line. It's pretty weird. Yeah, so like you're just walking around talking to Pete, and they get pushed to the ground by this guy who's like at least a foot and a half taller than you. And I was like, "What you gonna do, psycho? You mad I hit your boyfriend, psycho? Yeah, psycho." Like, Damon doesn't say much. Damon has this really goofy voice. Like, "Yeah, what you gonna do?" It's one of my favorite things that they do. And, like, they do it in wrestling a lot, where it's like, there's a bunch of other guys, but they don't really do anything besides repeat what you say. So it's like, "I'll beat you up." "Yeah, beat you up." And, like, it's the entirety of the conversation. So you figure out if you're gonna get to the jocks, the best way to do it is using the sneaky rat bastards that are the nerds. And the nerds don't want to hang out with you because the nerds are like, "You're an asshole. You've picked on us. You've only helped us when you feel like you can get something from us. Fuck you." And you beat up the nerds, and she's like, "Go ahead, and like just tell me where your leader is." And like, "I'm not gonna." You pop him once because like, he's in the observatory. Please don't tell him I told you. They have a bunch of like weapons, and I think that's kind of interesting. Earlier in the game, around the opening of the third chapter, you can do something called the Nerd Challenge. So besides all the regular missions, there's like challenges and side missions you can do. The challenge is one of the side missions. So usually there'll be something that the click expects you to do to be able to unlock a new safe house, which is where you can save and rest up and a bunch of other shit. The prep side challenge is just beating them at boxing, and the greaser side challenge is beating them up at the pool house where they hang out. That's about it. The nerd challenge though requires a bit of skill, insofar that it's actually something to do besides fight. The nerd challenge is you go into the basement of the comic book shop where they hang out. God, that sounds oof. That's a sentence, isn't it? You go into the basement of a comic book place where they hang out, and then they go, "If you can beat Fatty," that's what they call him. I wish I knew what his real name was, but it just seems to be that everyone calls him Fatty. And they're like, "If you can beat Fatty's Consumo score," yeah, Consumo, that's the name of the game, "then we'll let you hang out here," or whatever. And if you beat it, they give you a really cool weapon called the Bottle Rocket Launcher, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a gun that shoots off bottle rockets, and it does the most damage and it has the most range of any other weapon in the game. So it's pretty fun to do that off the bat. I remember I did it way later when I first played through the game, and then when I got it, it was like, oh, there's a lot. Oh man, I should have done this earlier. So then when I subsequently played through the game other times, I was trying to do the nerd challenge the second I saw it, because it's so useful. Another thing you can do is when you beat the prep challenge and you get the little safe house, if you come back later, there's boxing missions just overall where they'll like let you fight some of the preps in boxing matches. Going through the boxing minigame, that feels a lot like a weird arcade punch out. And if you beat those, then you up your punch damage, which combined with a bunch of the other upgrades makes fighting like a joke. It doesn't matter how big and beefy the guy is, you take him out pretty fast. So I like that. But yeah, so eventually you get to the observatory. The nerds had a bunch of weapons, like bottle rocket launchers and firecrackers, to keep throwing at you. If you have your projectiles and you completed all of gym, it's pretty easy to shoot them the fuck off the ground. They have a potato cannon, like a cannon that shoots potatoes, and that sounds fucking awful. Like that must hurt a lot. You smash it, you get inside the observatory, and then the nerd leader, Ernest Jones, who you met earlier. He's like standing on top of some rafters in the observatory with a singular hand potato cannon. And you just fight him, and then once you knock him to the ground, he's like, fine, pick up me. Like, everybody picks at me. You guys are the worst. I hate you. I'll be rich, you know. Fuck you guys. It's like, Ernest, I didn't come here to fight you. I came here to ask for your help. He's like, my help? It's like, yeah, idiot. I want to go get the jocks, fucking smash them up. And I'm going to need your help and your tactical knowledge to do it. He's like, yeah, with my brains and your brawn, we can do it. And I was like, yeah, cool. So are we going to do it or what? It's like, yes. Yes. This is going to be great. And he goes, all right, cool. So here's an idea. How about we demoralize them? And it's like, what do you mean? He's like, so they're the head cheerleader, Mandy Wiles, right? She's really hot, right? And it's like, okay, so what if you take creepy pictures of her? What? That's just wrong. And I'm like, no, trust me, it'll be awesome. Take creepy pictures of her and bring them back to me. So you go and you do it, and you come back, and then he decides to use the creepy pictures to make posters and put them all up around town. Yeah, talk about demoralizing. He humiliates a girl with sexually explicit photos of her just putting them around town. That's fucked up. I remember what Gary said about them being sneaky rat bastards, and I see what he means now. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. These guys are huge scumbags. Everyone in the school is a scumbag. I think the only people who aren't scumbags are the people who aren't in cliques, and that's mostly because they don't do anything. Jesus. Anyway, you end up seeing Mandy crying in the bleachers of the gym, and you ask her what's wrong. She tells you about it, and you go like, "That's my fault. So I should do something about that." And all you do is you tell her, "I'm gonna do something about it," and she was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, it'll be cool." So you go, you fix it, you come back. She likes you now, cause yeah, you helped her out. So finally, the big football game is coming up, and then Ernest goes, "This is our best chance to strike. Trust me on this. We're gonna fucking ruin it." He goes, "How?" I goes, like, "I need you to do me a favor. Go find the guy who's dressed up as the mascot, beat him the fuck up, take the mascot suit, then we can start doing stuff." So you go, you beat up the mascot, which is the Bullworth Bull, if that wasn't obvious. You end up cornering him into the empty pool, and you fuck him up, and then you just take the suit from him, and that unlocks the big game, which is where you start fucking with all of the footballers by messing up their stuff. So your plan to sabotage the football game is a bunch of mini games, and every time you're about to get caught, you have to do this little dance mini game to make sure that they buy it, because the jocks are like, "Hey, Bull, dance for us." Yeah, and then you just get to leave if you do it. You put super glue on the benches. You drop marbles all over the field. You strap firecrackers to the football so that when they throw the footballs, it'll just like pop. And also you piss in their water cooler. That's fucked up. Eventually, the fight is pretty simple. They realize that you're. Oh yeah. Also, the last thing you do is you go up to the scoreboard, the electronic scoreboard, and you fuck with the message saying the jocks love to play with others' balls and stuff like that. The jocks catch you, or rather, the head of the jocks, Ted, and Damon, his second in command, catch you, and then they decide, all right, we're gonna fucking do this. So what Ted does is throw footballs at you from a distance, and then Damon and everyone else is the defensive line, preventing you from getting close to Ted. You just grab the footballs and throw them at all the guys and knock them the fuck out, and then go and try to hit Ted. You could do it like 3 times. Like, Damon gets hit with footballs repeatedly. The explosive firecrackers to the face, to the chest, doesn't even fucking budge him. As a matter of fact, the first time I knocked him out and he gets up, I was like, "Are you okay?" He was like, "Doesn't hurt a bit." And he just fucking, "Oh wow, okay, all right, big buff man, that's fucking terrifying." And I could just throw a firecracker, like a quarter stick of dynamite, in your chest, and you're just like, "Yeah, I'm good. What am I, a pussy?" It's that guy's way scarier than Ted, because Ted goes down in a single hit. As soon as you knock out Damon and all the other guys, you just tackle Ted to the ground and gives up like a huge bitch. So chapter 4 was called "A Healthy Mind and a Healthy Body and Other Lies," that's a pretty strong title, if anything. So once that's over, you go up to chapter 5, which is "The Rise and Fall of Jimmy Hopkins," age 15, which is exactly what it sounds like. Now everyone loves each other. They're all listening to you, and they're all hanging out. Like, it opens up with all the clique leaders standing around you going like, what's going on?" I remember Johnny says like, Dabby, and I'm like, wow, what the fuck? Anyway, I don't know. I just find his like caricature of a voice so fun. A lot of people have voices like that. Like, it's kind of goofy, and I like that about it because I happen to like goofy things. But anyway, everyone's hanging out together, and they go like, "Hey, Jimmy, you should prove that you're the biggest dick in the whole school." It's like, really? How do I do that? It's like, you should go tag City Hall, and you're like, yeah, yeah, I should. So you go, you fuck off, and you tag City Hall with the phrase "bull worthless" where everyone can see it, and the cops are about to chase you. You get back to the school, and once you know it, everything is fucking falling apart, and everybody feels that it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. The gym is on fire. There's rats all over the library. Johnny Vincent got sent to the asylum. There's an asylum in town. It's called Happy Volts, which all the way that's fucking mean. That's not cool. The prep gym where they have all their trophies in the old Bulworth Vale is trashed. Their trophies have been stolen. Everything's been all fucked up. You have to go around fixing everything, which is pretty simple. You go to the gym and you save all the guys who are like stuck under stuff and help them get the fuck out, and then put out the fires, and then come back, and everyone goes like, "Wow, okay, that was kind of cool." Or you go to the library, you pop out your slingshot, and you're just like, bam, popping all the rats, kill them, fuck it. That's good. You have to go get Johnny out of the asylum, which is a stealth mission, which I'll admit, it's not the first stealth mission in the game, but there's not many. There's like maybe 5, 6 tops. Yeah, so you go get Johnny out of the asylum, and you go find whatever happened to the prep's trophies. And you find out it's all the townies. The guys who are born in town and live in town, are of high school age, but aren't rich enough or weren't allowed into the prestigious school that is Bulworth Academy. And they hate all the kids who go to Bulworth Academy because their parents must have money, or, they're not reduced to living in a shitty industrial town that is, hates them. There's no opportunity for them there, and I think that their hate is pretty easy to understand, although I wouldn't call it justified. Yeah. So yeah, it turns out they were doing everything because they were listening to Gary, and Gary told them, if you do this, I can help you guys take over the school, because fuck those coddled, money-having kids with happy parents and all that shit. Fuck them. Fuck them. It's not the worst thing, but I mean, I guess it gets them going. Along the way, you meet Zoe Taylor, who was kicked out from the school because the gym teacher, Mr. Burton, tried to come onto her, and she was like, "Fuck you, you old perv," and then they took the teacher's word over hers and got her expelled. So now she has a thing against the school. She's the girl of the townies. If it isn't surprising you have a girl for every clique, yeah, that's kind of how this was set up. But I mean, there's 2 girls who aren't part of cliques. It's Angie Ing and Christy Martin, and they're pretty okay. I mean, Christy's this redhead girl whose thing is like, she's pretty vain and vapid, and then Angie's a girl with like French braids and glasses, and she's kind of demure, but also she has the most overtly, how should I put it, amorous notions when she does her moans for the kissing thing. It's like a lady who worked on a sex phone line knew exactly how to make it sound, and she totally went for it, and I think that's kind of impressive, if anything else. But yeah, so you end up meeting Zoe, and you help her get revenge on Mr. Burton. Mr. Burton's taking a shit in a like porta potty, and you push it down a hill, and he goes like, "Oh God, oh my God, there's corn. I didn't eat corn." It's just it's just a gross mess. So, she helps you get back into the school because you get expelled. Because, like I said, everything was pinned on you, and you go to the principal's office, and he goes like, "Hey, you did this shit. I'm gonna expel you because you're a fucking disaster. Every day you've been here, there's been more and more fights with more and more kids, and I'm sick of this shit." Also, Mr. Smith, and he pulls and gestures over to Gary, who walks up next to him, goes like, "Told me that you've been doing some really, really worse shit than I thought you were. You've been bullying, you've been vandalizing, you started a fire. Fuck you. Get out of the school." And then, so Zoe says, "You know what? If we can get the guys who did this, the townies, then maybe we can get you back in that shitty frou-frou school." And it's like, okay, cool. You talk to Pete, and he was like, "I mean, don't give up, man. We gotta figure something out." It's like, "Yeah, I need somebody who's gonna help me, though. Somebody big and tough who doesn't hate me yet." And they're like, "Russell!" Like, yeah. So you go to Russell's house. He stole a cop motorcycle, and he rides it over to the chemical plant where all the townies are hiding out, and they're doing their shit. So, like, they set up a barricade, and what's fun about that is that Russell just smashes through the barricade, like, throwing himself into it, having the motorcycle explode and a bunch of shit. You just go, "Holy shit, I think he's dead," but, it's fine. So you get in, you have Zoe help you break through a bunch of the traps. There's a bunch of townies that you have to fight. They're easily the toughest fighters throughout the entire game. Like in the school setting, it's the jocks, but once you leave the school, the townies are much tougher. They take more damage and they deal more damage, and they can knock you the fuck out pretty fast. If you'd already taken Zoe out on a date by then with getting back on Mr. Burden and stuff, and she likes you, so you can, kiss her. And if you maxed out art and all the classes like I did by then, because I realized that our classes give you upgrades, then it's super easy to just get 200% health and go back to fight in an instant. You end up getting inside and you fight Omar Romero, the second in command of the townies. And then once you beat him, you keep going further into the thing, and you fight Edgar Munson, the leader of the townies. And that boss fight's kind of weird because Edgar rips a pipe out of the walls because you're in a chemical plant and it's an abandoned one. So he rips a pipe out the walls and he just starts trying to smack you with it. If you get like this metal grid, you can pick it up and then like block it and then just start fucking him up. But like man, it's a doozy of a fight. When you beat him up, yeah, it's like you think best is a good idea. You hold a pipe, and you're like, to fucking smashes Edgar's face, and you're like, nah, that's cool. I just hate that school because like my parents couldn't afford to get me in there, and I'm just living in this shithole of a town, which is like the entirety of the townies thing, which I feel. All right, yeah, like I said before, that anger, I understand it. I don't feel it's justified, but I understand it. You should blame other people for your circumstances, but that's tough. That's tough, man. That's fucked up. And I understand that you have that hatred and you want to put it out to other people. And then yeah, you just tell him, oh man, no, Gary's so full of shit. He's gonna totally betray you. He doesn't give a shit about you. You're like, really? You basically tell him you're gonna have together. You're gonna pay back Gary and get everything sorted out. So like, yeah, that's about it. And so then coming back, Russell stole the police motorcycle and he's gonna go to jail along with all the other vandalism. So you have to sneak past a bunch of the cops in the meatpacking area. Well, there's a meatpacking plant. You just sneak around and get Russell the fuck out. Once you get Russell the fuck out, you go back to the school where, oh man, it's fucking anarchy. As it turns out, Gary, taking advantage of the fact that the principal trusts him, tied him up and left him in the office, and then has all the teachers and the prefects on his side, and just let the school go to fucking shit. Like, everyone is fighting. You go back to the school and everyone's just beating each other up. One of my personal things is the gate's closed. And then you tell Edgar, hey, we're gonna solve this shit. It's like, Jimmy, I thought you ran this place. This place is fucking going nuts. Everybody's beating each other up. It's fucking horrible. And then you go like, yeah, that's why I brought help. And you gesture to Russell, and Russell says, Russell likes to hurt people for peace. And then Edgar just goes, cool. So are we gonna do something about this? And Russell just headbutts the fucking steel gate slammed open. He was like, that kinda hurt. And you're like, alright, cool. Let's go do this shit. And you just go around and you have to find all the leaders in their different areas. They're all hiding out and smashing up stuff. Like if you go to the gym, the nerds are lighting a bunch of shit on fire, and Ernest has like a tie wrapped around his head like a headband. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna take off for the school with Gary. I'm so fucking smart and it's gonna be awesome. And you're like, Ernest, don't be stupid. And he's like, you can't stop me. All you bullies, nobody can hurt me. And you just fuck him up like real fast because the nerds are super weak. You go to the preps are hiding in their own place, like they're hiding in Harrington House. Darby, the leader, is Darby Harrington. His father is the person who gives the most money to the school, and they have a fucking really fancy building named after his dad. And the preps have always hung out there, but like it's interesting that in the anarchy of the school, despite all the preps that are going outside fighting, Darby, the leader, didn't go anywhere. He's just keeping himself together in his neat little office. He goes like, "Hey, I'm here to. Hey, you're here. I guess I have to take out the trash." And you fuck him up pretty fast, and it's not very difficult. You find the jocks in the library doing the same exact thing that the nerds were doing, lighting shit on fire, and just going like, "Yeah, fuck books, nerds." When you beat them up, you move up, and the greasers are the last ones, and they're hiding in the girls' dorm for whatever reason. They're in the girls' dorm. They're just like smashing shit up and spray painting the walls. And I have no idea why they went to the girls' dorm, but they did. And yeah, so you fuck them up, and then the last thing you have to do is go to the center building and meet up with Edgar, and then you get attacked by the prefects. And Russell scares them the fuck off, but they took your slingshot, so you don't have anything you can do besides your hands. And you chase Gary up the bell tower that makes up the top of the school, and after having a bunch of fights with them where like the floor collapses, you land to the ground, you win, and you drag him into the principal's office. And the principal goes, "Wow, I can't believe I believed that lying little shitbag. You're a good kid, Hawkins." Is like, right? So you pacified everybody, and you start vouching for people like PD and Zoe gets let back into the school and shit like that. And that's about it. It's the end of the game. You got everyone together. Everyone's being kind of friendly. And everyone's keeping the peace, and they're all under you. And you're in charge of the school now. And you have the girl that you really really like, Zoe or whatever. And all those other girls still like you. That's about it for Bully. It's pretty fun. I enjoy the game a lot. It's like a lower area GTA. It's like a little more contained, because I find that GTA, despite having such a large map, there's in the older games at least, like 3, Vice City, and Liberty City stories and shit like that. There's not too much to do. There's a lot of buildings, but they're mostly window dressing. They're kind of there just so you can feel that, like, it's a big town. We're in Liberty City, baby. But there's not much you can actually do besides the missions, or maybe like one or two shops here and there to get guns and stuff, you know. But in Bully, almost most things on the map, though there are a lot of houses, you can still go into the areas and like fuck stuff up. There's a lot more stores. There's a lot of customization to your character and shit, just because it's kind of fun to do that. Like you get your hair done, and you can wear different clothes. You can unlock stuff by doing dumb bullshit. And yeah. Oh, another thing about all the click girls, like Lola, Pinky, and all that. Like when you stuff in your room shows up as a result of the missions. Like you have a tattered shirt of Russell's from when you beat him up down in the stupid storage hole thing, whatever. And there's also a bunch of pictures of the girls with like little, with either their names written or a little message, and then like a lipstick mark, and it's like framed on your wall. And I think that's like amazing. That's nuts. You also have a pair of underwear from one of the missions called Panty Raid, which is where the creepy, disgusting pervert that is the gym teacher, Mr. Burton, says, "I have to do laundry. Do me a favor and like go into the girls' dorm and collect dirty laundry." It's like, that's kind of okay. Alright, sure, whatever. You apparently you kept one of the pieces of underwear. You just kept it like nailed to your wall or whatever. And yeah, that's more or less Bully. Like I said, everyone has names. Everyone has stuff going on. If you happen to make out with one of the girls, like I made out with Christy a bunch just because she was always around, and it was super easy to get the health bonuses because by then it was like I'd already done all the classes, and I was like, I kind of need it if I'm gonna be fighting motherfuckers. So I would do it. And then, like, if I had made out with a different girl earlier and they had seen me, they would just stop me in the middle of my animation and then, like, yank Christy and start fucking her up. Like, it was nuts. It's oof. There's more shit going on in this game than I expected, and I like that about this game. And Scholarship Edition just adds more missions for more things to go around town and, do shit, which is really cool. So, on for what this is, we have to give it a rating, right? Is it as sensible as Black Dress Shoes, or is it JoJo stupid? Well, all things considered, it's not that nuts. It's actually like I give it a battle royale. Yeah, battle royale. No, you know what? Not even, because it's barely that. I'm oof, oof. Yeah, I would give Bully a rating of Hawaiian shirt. Yeah, yeah. It's still in a relatively, understandable world. Like it's based on a real world, so there's not too much shit going on. There's no supernatural dumb bullshit. There's a lot of weird stuff, but it's no more weird than like regular people can be. Like some people are really violent or really racist or shit like that. So it's not horrifyingly gross. It's just kind of a more extreme version of the world we already live in. I'll admit, though, the one thing that throws me off is I can't tell what fucking year it is. I don't know, but, all in all, yeah, that's about it. And for those of you who are interested in the ranking system, it's pretty simple. It's 0, sensible as black dress shoes, because really, it just makes the most sense. Like, why wouldn't you have black dress shoes? They go with almost any outfit at any given time, even with a casual set of pants, it looks nice. And then the 1, red skinny jeans, because, alright, look, they're pants, and that's okay, you need pants, but red is not a color that works too well, but you can make it work with an outfit, you could set up stuff for like 2, Hawaiian shirt, because really there's so fucking few occasions where a Hawaiian shirt makes sense in terms of an outing, but it's still an article of clothing, so I mean, you need one, so it works. I just, you need, the situation needs to call for the Hawaiian shirt. You can't just wear a Hawaiian shirt around. 3, Battle Royale. There's gonna be an episode of that. I don't even fucking want to explain it yet. Okay. 4, fighting game stories in general. I'm so passionate about fighting games. I love playing them. I love going to putting time in the lab. I know a bunch of terms. I watch streams on fighting games, but like Really, when you get to what the games are and what the world is, they're really crazy and they're really dumb, but at least they make sense within their own retardedness, I guess is the best way to put it. The system is basically, how dumb is it with regards to itself? Like, does it not even give a shit about what it is? Because then, wow, we can really go out there. 5. The show that you're currently listening to. I won't pretend I'm smart. I won't pretend that I'm some sort of genius. I know things and I'm really passionate about dumb shit, but this idea, the thing that I've made, is also kind of dumb. That I'm going out of my way to just look for dumb shit or look for stuff in general, and then look for the dumb things inside of that stuff. Like that's not how what kind of a smart man comes up with this kind of shit? No one. This is dumb in and of itself. The fact that I'm describing this to you is what makes it dumb. 6. Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock. I can't even begin with that. That's gonna be its own episode. Same thing with War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds is just so that 6 is Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock. 7 is War of the Worlds. 8 is Hokuto no Ken. Whew, Fist of the North Star. There's a lot there. 9 Ryuga Gotoku. The Yakuza series, as it's known in the West, and trust me when I say it, that'll have its own episode. And our highest possible rating of JoJo Stupid, because I mean, if you listen to the first episode and any subsequent episodes that'll be up on individual parts, you already know this is retarded and I love it and this is the best we can possibly get. Okay, everybody. So that's this episode of But Is It JoJo Stupid? Bye now.